Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, Positively Awesome Wrestling. We are live. Sorry you missed us last week, but again, Double or Nothing, Night of Champions, Battleground. I believe Impact had a pay-per-view that week, and Stardom even had. There was a lot of wrestling last week, and I'm not going to compete with that. I want y'all to enjoy wrestling. As much as I would love for y'all to enjoy me, wrestling's more important. That's why I'm here to begin with. But we're back now. I am joined by Albert to the right of me. Albert, how have you been in this long absence?
It's been pretty good. Like you said, a lot of wrestling to fill in that time, and a lot of fun stuff that we got to watch. So I'm excited to kind of dive into some of that.
Yeah, looking good. So that means our stream is crispy. Hello, Albert. Courtney says hello, Jimmy and Albert. Hello, Courtney. Thank you for joining us. Tidey is not here. He might be joining us in a minute. Work caught him up a little bit tonight, so he might be joining us here in a minute. Hopefully, if not, life happens, and we wish him that he has a great night. That we'll leave it at that. But I'm sure he'll be here any minute. We just got to give him a little bit of time. So with that said, last weekend, how many of the pay-per-views did you watch from last weekend?
So I watched. I really wanted to watch Double or Nothing. I didn't get a chance, and I'm upset about it because I really wanted to, but my Sunday kind of got a little bit away from me. So, but I did watch Night of Champions. I watched it a day late because I didn't have the chance to watch it live, but blew me away.
Yeah. So I watched the Double or Nothing. I watched the Night of Champions, and I watched Battlegrounds. I think 2 days later. I'm not 100. I didn't watch it the day of. Obviously, I watched Double or Nothing, but I got to watch all three of them. Night of Champions was. But we'll start there. We'll start there. On a scale, we'll do the 5-star rating scale for this Night of Champions. What would you give it out of 5?
I would say it was a solid 4.
Okay. I'm giving it a full-on 5.
Wow. Okay.
I was at 4.5, but then I was watching my buddy Nick today on Wrestling Legion. If y'all haven't checked that out, y'all need to go check it out now. That's Wrestling Legion. That's on YouTube. But Nick was talking about this, and he was saying literally everything did what it was supposed to do at Night of Champions, and it was done in an effectful way. Even a squash match with Rhea, it was done it's like squash matches shouldn't be on pay-per-views, but I was like, you know what? No, that squash match made sense. The show was fantastic from the time it opened to the time it ended. And I just want to go ahead and point out real quick. I told everybody Seth Rollins and AJ Styles should open the show, and I was harassed. I was ridiculed. All of the above. Laughed, all of it. I was done all of that. I stood my ground. I no, that's how it should go. The show will be fantastic if you start off with that match because it's setting the tone. And that's exactly what happened. Anybody that still wants to argue with me on it, go suck a rock or something. I don't know. Because the match should have went on first. Because what we got at the very end was more cinema. The cinema that we've been grown to expect when it comes to the bloodline. So I just wanted to get that out there real quick. Start listening to me a little bit more. I talk with sense. I really do talk with sense sometimes. If I'm not talking with sense, I'll let you know. I'll let you know I'm being stupid. But when I'm being real, you got to start paying attention to me. I got the brains right here.
I understood the position that a lot of people took. If you want to establish this as the big title, you should make it the main event. I get that. But we've never needed that to be the case. When WWE is presenting us with something that we're supposed to take as a world championship, we've generally, as an audience, just accepted, okay, this is a world championship.
Yeah.
Every time we've had a new one introduced, it doesn't make a difference if it was the first match on the show, if it was the last match on the show. And how many times have we seen pay-per-views where there are multiple titles on the line and the World Heavyweight Championship, the Universal Championship, or the WWE Championship weren't the main event because the Women's Championship was. Not everything can be the main event at every time. This is a perfect example as to why the tag titles should have been the main event of Night of Champions. Like you said, cinema. Absolute cinema at the end. I mean, come on. And now, here we are. When we talked about this not too long ago, We're a month removed from, about roughly a month removed from everybody starting to, talk about how the Bloodline storyline's boring. Nobody cares anymore. It's over. We don't really care. Why do we?
Grasshoppers.
Right, exactly. And what did we say? We said, hey, look, you know what? If they have an idea of how to make this Bloodline storyline go this whole time, I understand why Cody didn't win at WrestleMania. Here we are. And it's hot as it ever was all again.
Yep. Two things. So she says it was a fantastic show. It was so good.
It really was.
A few things I touched on last week. We didn't have the show, so I wasn't able to talk about them. But I tweeted them out. Maybe you didn't see the tweets. I get it, people. My tweets aren't that entertaining. But anyways, I talked about main events. And I got kind of intrigued because everyone kept talking about it. Has to main event. It has to main event. And then people always, every month, it's like, you can't have 3 main events. You can't have 6 main events. You can't have 10 main events. Interesting. Because if anybody were to use just 5 minutes of their time, not even you could take a minute of your time and just Google search what a main event truly means. And you know what a main event is? It is a main attraction. It is not the final match like everyone seems to think it means. I don't know why that's a thing. Why everyone's just like, main event means final match. No, it doesn't. Main event means main attraction. Is Seth Rollins and Seth Rollins and AJ Styles for the World Heavyweight Championship in a tournament final a big enough match to be a main attraction for your show?
Yes.
Is Cody Rhodes versus Brock Lesnar a main event, take that word away, a main attraction for a pay-per-view show?
Yes.
And is Roman Reigns, I don't care who he's wrestling, a main attraction for your pay-per-view?
Yes.
So they're not lying when they say that these are main events because they are main attractions for the show. Thank you. Yes. And they start the show with one, they end it with another one. And anybody that's trying to argue that the World Heavyweight Championship that Seth Rollins now has around his waist, which is a great belt, not shitting on it at all. But if you want to try and argue that this moment, a belt that everyone hates to begin with, they're already making it seem like it's nothing. You wanted me to expect, like, with all the shit you've talked, you want me to expect that you really think that should go on over Roman Reigns? Absolutely not. There is not a thing in wrestling right now, across any promotion, anything. There are very few wrestlers in the history of the sport or show, sports, whatever we're going to call it, that would go on over Roman Reigns. He's that big of an attraction at this point. And if you still don't accept that, I don't know what to tell you. Because it's just factual. Like 2.6 million on SmackDown. Why? Because Roman Reigns and his story that it's beautiful.
1,000 days. That's it. That's why.
That's what I wanted to get out there. Main events are not final matches. Main events are main attractions, and they had 3 of them. UFC does this as well. Heck, Double or Nothing, whether they were troll or not, I don't care. They did 2 main events on their show. And you want to know what I heard? Hold on. You want to know what I heard? Like, why?
I wonder why.
But that's I'm not even going to get into it. I just wanted to get on main events are main attractions. They had 3 of them. Hell, honestly, almost every match on that card was a main attraction, if we're being honest. But I digress.
This whole argument goes back to one of your guys, CM Punk. One of the reasons why he decided he wanted to walk out of WWE is he didn't main event WrestleMania. Meanwhile, look, I was at that WrestleMania.
He did.
The reason why I went, the reason why I remember why that pay-per-view was even halfway decently good was CM Punk's match with The Undertaker. That was my main event.
Were you one of the people that were wanting CM Punk to win?
I kind of did a little bit.
No, you're fine because
I kind of did a little bit, I was like, if anybody's gonna break the streak, especially with this storyline, pouring the urn over his head and stuff, I was like, oh, maybe it should be Punk.
Sidebar here real quick. Where's the crown, Jimmy? Oh, well, I'm sorry. CM Punk's coming back, so I'm honoring the man right here. back to the match. But if you go back and watch that Undertaker CM Punk match at WrestleMania, the entire front, second, and third row, there was a moment, I think it was when CM Punk hit him with the urn and he pinned him. 1, 2. The fans were right there going, yes, yes. And their jaws just dropped when Undertaker kicked out. They're like, damn it. They wanted that moment. There was people going to be mad about it because people hate CM Punk.
Everybody would have been,
But that would have been such an incredible moment. I'll ask you this. We've never had this conversation, so you've been there. You were there, so this is great.
I was, yeah.
Do you think The Undertaker had a program at WrestleMania? We're going to take Shawn Michaels out of this equation. It's not fair. He's the GOAT.
Okay.
We'll take Shawn Michaels out of this equation. Was there
Shawn's
ever...
on, so, okay.
Was there... I'll take the Kane one, too. I always forget about this one because I don't want to bring up Kane because of who he is now. But the WrestleMania 14 storyline was probably Undertaker's best storyline.
Of all time.
But after that, and we'll take away the streak versus the career, was there a better storyline for Undertaker going into WrestleMania behind those two?
Absolutely not.
Not even Triple H's?
Not even Triple H's.
Thank you very much. This is why we are on the same page.
That build, let me tell you something. I went to that WrestleMania and I was livid. Absolutely livid. I went to the merch stand during Triple H versus Brock Lesnar. I was livid because I could not find a CM Punk shirt in the entire effing building. We were in Giants Stadium. I couldn't find a damn CM Punk shirt. I wound up out in the trucks outside after we got out of WrestleMania, getting a double XL CM Punk shirt because that's all I wanted to get. That's how big that match was to me. That was the main event to me. Rock and Cena. I understand, where that for some people, like that was a big deal.
It's the Roman thing I was just talking about. They should go on last,
right?
On Cena and The Rock, man, like that's big,
right?
But sorry,
did we really need that over having Punk in the main event? I mean, did we really need that again? Or even the triple threat. And the thing is that a lot of people argue about the triple threat match. Maybe Punk should have been thrown in there. But then the other part of me is like, if that happens, we don't get that storyline with The Undertaker. No. Like, I almost think that it was the right thing to do.
And if CM Punk isn't winning, then why do it?
Right.
Yeah.
Then
he was not going to beat John Cena and The Rock at WrestleMania.
Right.
Ain't no damn way Vince was going to let that happen. So, yeah.
I swear, I think Punk's, rationalization was, if I argue my way to get into this match, I can argue my way into winning this match. This way he doesn't have to make one or the two of them take a loss to the other one. I think I can do it. I think that was Punk's ulterior motive ultimately. And he might have done it if he talked his way into the match, by the way.
I'll say this about Punk. This is one of the few things I agreed with him for a while, but then there's a lot. They bill a lot of main events at WrestleMania. They just do. It's always been the case. And they went on second to last, correct?
I believe so.
In this day and age, that's a main event at WrestleMania. I'm sorry. And I think he's even gone back and said, he goes, yeah, I'm not even that worried about it anymore. Because he probably knows at the back of his head that his match with Undertaker was a main event. And not only was it a main event, it was the best match on the entire show. So it was the Undertaker's last best live match. There was a lot of things that he did with that match. So
yeah, by far the best match on the show.
But we'll move on. We'll talk about Night of Champions. Excellent show. Double or Nothing. So you haven't watched it at all?
Unfortunately, I haven't. I've seen the results. I've seen what everybody's been saying. But
I'll just say this. I saw a lot of people say "Oh, thank God for those last two matches. It saved the entire show and made it great." That's not how things work.
I've heard a lot of that.
That's not how things work. A bad show is a bad show, and it happens from time to time. There's no reason to get your panties in a bunch about it and start getting mad about it. I think there was some matches on the show I liked that some people didn't. I see a lot of people hating hardcore on Cole and Jericho. I didn't hate it. I thought it was okay. For a Jericho match these days, I thought it was okay.
I think that's also becoming a thing now. I think that no one's going to ever give Jericho his flowers from here on out. I think no matter what Jericho does, it's just going to be, we're going to make fun of Jericho now because he's just become that guy, from a certain subsection of the internet. There's just a certain.
He's brought it on himself, kind of though.
In a lot of ways, he has, but I mean, he hasn't. in terms of people that I've seen stay at in the upper echelons of a card that have lost a step, he's nowhere near some other people.
No, not at all. But I think it's his actions more so than his work. When he's getting on there arguing with Twitter trolls about things, it's like that's a bad look. When you're saying these little excerpts in your interviews that are just batshit crazy, it's like you're putting on. He kind of said that Walter was the worst wrestling name of all time. It's like, come on, man. First off, what's that your place to say? Second off, no, it's not. You're just saying some stuff to rile people up. Like people, I think, have kind of seen what he's doing. They know he doesn't honestly believe a lot of the things he's saying. They know he's saying it just to stir shit up. Right. And I think they've kind of gotten tired of his shtick.
I guess that's fair.
And I will say, AEW would benefit greatly if he stopped being on the show. They should utilize him just a little bit more than how they use Sting, in my opinion. So I think they use Sting perfectly. I think Chris Jericho should show up just a little bit more often than him. I don't need to see him on the show every week. Just eating up time. I don't need to see it. Sorry, Chris. You did a great thing.
I do think we need a chance to miss him a little bit.
Yeah.
I think it's just that time. He's been on TV every week for a pretty decent amount of time. It's got to be
TV time too. And this is a thing. He's never experienced like a very bad injury to where he had to leave for a long time. Every time he's left, it's because he just went off to do other things. He's never been injured to the point where we missed him. Yeah,
it's true.
Like, oh, he's going off to do acting. He'll be back.
Right.
So we're not missing him. We're just like, he'll be back.
Right.
But there's never been something. It's not like he's ever been taken from us. And I think that's something to. I think that's something to it a little bit. I mean, it's kind of like The Rock. I don't think people really missed The Rock at first because they knew he'll come back. He'll come back. But when you get a person that is gone because of an injury, you're like, man. Like Big E. Big E's a perfect example.
Yeah, absolutely.
As much as we all hated the New Day and we're like, the New Day needs to be done with, and blah, 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 all this other stuff. And that's all Big E was doing. He was still doing New Day stuff, even though he's champion and he was away from him. He was still New Day. We were so tired of New Day. And then he got hurt and we're like, man, I really miss Big E. Because he was taken from us. Chris has never been taken from us. He's just on the show every single week, eating up time. And hey, that time could be going to other people. How about this? Take Jericho off the thing and let the Appreciation Society just take over for a while. That way, those guys are front and center every single time, as opposed to I don't know. But I don't think the match he had with Cole was bad. That was my point. Sure. I just don't think it was that bad. Right. Did you see how it ended?
Can I ask you something quick? Yeah. And we're on the topic of AEW. Somebody brought this up in a comment recently, and I thought about it for a couple of seconds. And I went, yeah, okay, maybe. The next program for MJF, people are speculating who it's going to be. A lot of people are saying it's going to be Cole. And somebody brought up the point of, well, first of all, my friend Andre brought up the point to me the other day. I don't think it should be Adam Cole yet. I think they should build Adam Cole a little further before they put him up against MJF. I agreed. So then I said, okay, so who's the guy that you think can step into that spot? And we both immediately came to Kenny Omega immediately. We're like, okay, maybe that could be it. But I was on Twitter and somebody said, what if it was Sting? And I was like, wait, no. I mean that, and then they went, what if it's a career versus title match? And then I stopped for a quick second. I went, ooh, now you've got my attention.
My only gripe against that is that I think Sting's final match should be Darby, or else why were they together this whole time?
So a lot of people will be saying
I think Darby has earned that and deserves that spot.
So is it just that Darby wins to become I
don't even necessarily think he needs to win.
Okay. All right.
I'm not of that mindset that the guy on his way out needs to either put someone over or he needs to go over. I don't think there's a formula. I think it really just depends on the story that you're telling.
Sure, and
if there's a story that says Darby should win, then Darby should win. If there's a story that says Sting should win, Sting should win. As long as it's a good story, I don't care. Everyone that gives Baron Corbin so much hard time because he beat Kurt Angle, it's like, shut up. That's where the story was going.
Right.
Yeah. We all love Baron Corbin until he beats Kurt Angle at WrestleMania for some reason. That's weird. Right. That's so weird. So, but I guess that's not a horrible idea, though, because it makes MJF an even bigger son of a bitch.
Right? I mean,
that's fair.
Yeah, and you know what? It also it livens MJF up a little bit in this title run, which people are starting to get a little bit bored of. And I think it gives him another step of, not only, am I better than all of your faves? I'm retiring your favorites. You know what I mean? It just gives MJF just a little bit more ammunition to be a little bit more of a prick. So, I think it's a great notch on a quote unquote notch on his belt if he's the guy that does it.
I wouldn't have been mad if they just continued him and Darby Allin coming out of Double or Nothing, because that's what the story.
That's what they might do.
That's where the story had progressed, and I think that's where it should be. I don't think that's where it's going though. Darby seems to just be doing nothing at the moment. So, I think logically CM Punk is an idea. Of course. I know people don't want him around the AEW title, and I don't think he should win the AEW title. But that story did not get finished, so finish it. We want Cody to finish his story. Let MJF and CM Punk finish theirs.
Just really quick. You're a tiny bit happy that Punk's coming back, right? Just a tiny bit.
Oh yeah. I'm mega happy. I'm mega happy.
Okay. I just want to make sure you're kind of happy.
I'm just letting everybody know I'm trying my best not to just overwhelm the show with CM Punk off. That's why I took the crown off and wore the hat. I was like, if I'm not going to talk a lot about him, I'm gonna wear the hat, and I'm wearing an FTR shirt that just kind of goes hand in hand with it.
I told him he should, because I kind of wanted to see him fanboy, but he said he was going to try to keep it.
We'll save it for June 18th. How about that?
You know what? That's fair.
But the Kenny Omega one I think is interesting, because I think Kenny Omega should be the one that beats MJF for the title. I think that needs to happen later down the road, though. Yeah, I think Kenny Omega, whereas Jon Moxley is like the heart and soul of AEW, I think Kenny Omega is right there with him. And another run with the title, I think Kenny Omega should get. And I think there's a lot of stories that could tell with Kenny Omega as champion. You have a Jay White story ready to tell with Kenny Omega as champion. You have the Adam Cole story, which will be so much better if Kenny Omega's the champion as opposed to MJF. You could revisit Hangman Adam Page. He could turn heel because of jealousy, and you have that right there. There's a lot of things you could do with Kenny Omega as a champion. And I think most of his last run was kind of all over the place. Let's get him as the AEW World Champion, so that it's like, this is what we're talking about. Lewis says, don't even get this guy started with Punk. Lewis is probably the number 2 CM Punk fan in the world behind me. No joke. That's that. So I met a guy at Waffle. I'll talk about this because I like talking about interactions I have with casual fans, because I know that they exist. I know people think they don't, or that they don't matter, but they do. And just for the sake of, I guess, information, this guy thinks Kenny Omega is probably the best in-ring wrestler of all time. He thinks MJF could be the greatest thing that ever happened to wrestling. He thought the Young Bucks did a lot of dumb shit. He thinks, I can't remember the other thing he said. But this was a casual who was talking positively about AEW. So I wanted to get that. I always talk about how the casuals talk about WWE. I want to talk about this guy because he was talking about AEW, and I thought it was very cool and interesting. So I wonder if we'll see him again. No, I'm not going back to that Waffle House. I don't want him to talk to me anymore. I hate strangers talking to me. Yeah, I hate it with a passion.
Same here.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I'll go back to Double or Nothing real quick. He was cool. I just was eating. I don't want to be bothered while I'm eating.
So real quick, just to put a pin on that, I get where you're going with that. I do want the story to end with MJF the same way it began. I think the first person to challenge him for the title should be the guy who beats him. I think it should be Starks. I think that's a really good way to bookend everything. And it makes Ricky Starks a main eventer. That's my hope.
Okay, here's why you can't do it, though, and then I'll go back to Double or Nothing. Ricky Starks went from MJF to Chris Jericho to Juice Robinson. And now it's Jay White, who I like, but Jay White hasn't really done anything, and he's not like – so it's like Ricky Starks has been cooled off so much. They're not chanting Ricky when he comes out anymore. So I think they've cooled him down. They'd have to do some work to get him back. But I also don't think he is enough. I don't think he's been built up enough to take the reins as AEW World Champion.
If this was 6 months ago, I would have said Wardlow, but
That was the other name was on the tip of my tongue. I was like, I really wish they wouldn't have screwed that up because Wardlow would be a perfect person for MJF right now. But
I feel like Ricky Starks would have been that guy down the line too if they would have kept him hot. But it just doesn't seem like they can keep anybody that's mega over. They can keep them hot for long. It just seems like they always have a period where they cool them down.
Something happens. Yeah.
Maybe this roster split will be better for everybody.
Yeah, we'll talk about that too. It's my favorite. Yeah, so she's really good. She loves talking to strangers. So when they start talking, I just kind of hide and then she talks. But this is how I met the wrestling club because of her talking to them, and I talked to them for probably a good hour. So that is true. I do enjoy talking to the right people.
Yeah, so I'm with you.
People at Waffle House when I'm eating, that's not the right people.
No, 100%. Yeah. Wait till I'm done.
But Double or Nothing, I saw some of the I don't want to talk about the ratings. I won't do that. I actually thought the ratings were pretty close this time. But the match that I see getting the most hype that I just didn't get, I'm not going to say it sucked, I just didn't get the hype, was Anarchy in the Arena. Because for the first half of that match, I had the hardest time following along. Because it's Anarchy in an arena.
Right, of course.
Cesaro in the back. You got dudes fighting in the crowd. You got dudes fighting in the ring. So you're literally, they'll show something, and right when they're getting to the spot that you would think they want to show you, like they're leading into a spot, they'd change the camera to something else, and you'd miss the spot. It happened like 4 times in a row, and I was like, this is why it should have been a blood guts match.
Thank you.
Yeah. But
come on,
but once it started cooking, I would say is right after the halfway mark, maybe a little bit past it. It was a fun match. I'm not going to knock it. It was a fun match. I love that Wheeler Yuta got the pin. I think we even talked about this last week.
Yeah, we
did.
Like,
who should get the pin? And we both, I think, said Wheeler Yuta. So, hey.
We said he needed it the most. So
great job on that. That's definitely the way you should have went with it. But, man, the first half was just so hard. And it was right here. That shit gave me vertigo. It was so bad. I don't want to tell them they're doing something wrong. But as a fan, I watched the show, and I'm telling you, I had a hard time watching it. And I've seen quite a few other people making that same complaint I had. But the result, I like the result. The Elite shouldn't have won. Wheeler Yuta should have got the pinfall. They did everything right in that aspect. So kudos to them. I know you've seen the spot because it's been all over Twitter. What did you think about, was it Matt Jackson?
It was.
He did super kick to John Moxley's head. Did you hate that?
Kind of thought it was kind of cool.
It was a cool spot.
It was kind of cool. All right, look, there are some things, all right, maybe I'm just like, come on, but it's kind of cool. That's inventive.
If John Moxley would have got pinned and kicked out of it, I'd probably complain. But he didn't.
Right,
he rolled out of the ring.
Agreed.
And there are very few moments where John Moxley is incapacitated. Very, very, very few moments. This was one of those moments. He rolled out of the ring, and I didn't see him for a good minute. So it made sense to me. I thought it was just a cool spot.
I thought it was cool.
And afterwards, I love that John Moxley's like, you want to do that shit to me? Let me get that shoe off you and then drop them in the tax. There was payback for it. There was things that went with it. So it was really cool. The 4-way was entertaining. MJF. I don't need to talk about it. Y'all know MJF is good, man. Y'all know he's good.
The one clip that I did see from that match is MJF talking in the ring throughout the entire match. And my God, is that man just the most masterful heel in the history of the world? People complain that MJF doesn't wrestle enough. Well, let me tell you something. I think I might have said this last week. When MJF does wrestle, he takes more bumps than any human being should possibly take in one match than somebody probably takes in about 3 weeks.
Yeah. As a heel, we're supposed to hate him. So if he's doing things that make us hate, then he's doing his job. I don't care that he doesn't wrestle that much. I really don't. What I don't like is that
it's smart. I think that a heel champion shouldn't wrestle all the time. They're smart. That's what they're supposed to be doing, protecting their title.
Yeah. I mean, we've seen it before with other people. Like Roman doesn't wrestle that much.
Right. Brock didn't.
Brock, and guess what? I've never had an issue with him.
I never did either.
I honestly think the world title should be treated a little bit like this because, everyone's talking about how Seth Rollins is going to defend this title all the time. It's that's going to ruin the significance of it to me, because I think a world title match or undisputed, whatever we're calling things, I don't know. If your top titles are being treated like a television title, then I don't look at it as a top title anymore.
So here's the thing.
I just don't.
I'm okay with a babyface wanting to defend more.
More, yes.
More.
A lot? Yes. No.
I mean, to get the title off the ground, I'm okay if they do it a little bit more. I'm also the kind of person that every once in a while, I'm cool with having a title match on Raw. Throw it out every once in a blue. I think that
every once in a while, for sure.
Yeah. So I think that we grew up in this era where wrestling changed from being this normal formula to where we had to change this formula because now there's these new things called ratings, and that's what's driving us as a wrestling show monetarily. That's what's driving Monday Night Raw because we need these ratings. So the idea is, okay, these ratings have to be as high as they possibly can. So your world champion was on the show every week. Now, when we grew up as kids, we had like Saturday morning superstars and stuff like that. You didn't see Hogan every week. You were lucky if you saw Hogan on that show at all. As a matter of fact, a lot of the times when you saw Hogan, and if he was in a big match or he was in a big story or he was on TV at all, it was only on Saturday Night's Main Event, which was once every couple of weeks. It wasn't a weekly thing. So wrestling fans now grew up in this era where their world champion was on every week. We didn't. So when that stopped, in a little bit of a way, I was like, I'm a little upset. But then I was like, you know what? This brings back the big match feel, the big fight feel. When the champion is there, it's something to celebrate. And I think that's what we're bringing back with MJF and Roman Reigns. When these champions are there, it's something to celebrate. We should be happy that the champion has blessed us with his presence on their show.
Yeah.
It's always been the way it was. And I think that's one of the newer wrestling tropes that ruined a lot of wrestling fans now. Because they don't know what it was like prior.
Yeah, I'll say this, and maybe my memory is deceiving me. I don't know. You can correct me if I'm wrong. I think the perfect balance of wrestling and showing up on TV was Hollywood Hulk Hogan in the NWO.
Oh yeah,
he defended the title on Nitro every once in a while. I'm pretty sure he was at least on every pay-per-view wrestling. He defended at most pay-per-views, but sometimes he didn't, and he was just wrestling. But it was in like matches like him and Eric Bischoff versus DDP and Karl Malone, or him and Dennis Rodman versus him and Karl Malone. I think things like that, which is fine because those are big programs to get more eyes on the show, and that was what they were utilized for. But I think Hollywood Hogan was utilized almost perfectly for a world champion because it just always seemed like, okay, it's a big damn like they're like, you're gonna wrestle Bill Goldberg, even though it was hot shotting 100%. You're gonna wrestle Big Goldberg on Nitro for that world title next Monday, and it was like, oh. But if they were to say something like that now, it's like, oh well, they should.
But remember who it seemed like it was always interesting when people were like, oh my God, he's going to wrestle on TV? Brock Lesnar. Because Brock doesn't wrestle on TV. So anytime it looked like it was going to happen, everybody was like, oh my God, it's going to happen.
Yeah, and for all the people who hate on Brock Lesnar, I'm letting you know right now, the people that are going to these shows, they are not tired of Brock Lesnar at all. They are so happy to see that man every time. It's an event when Brock Lesnar, when you hear that, that people go crazy.
They forget he's a heel every time. Every single time. Whenever he's a heel, they forget.
He walks out, and then everyone's like, oh, wait, we're supposed to hate him.
Right.
Let's get these real quick. I'm still here. No worries. You just join us when you can. No problem. No worries at all. And I'm going to let you know, Lewis, I'm pretty sure I was on to you about this one, too. I was like, man, y'all don't know about MJF. This man can go. But this is what I like about Lewis. If he is wrong about something, I don't want to say he is wrong, but if I think he's wrong about something, most of the times he kind of just, he corrects himself. Like, he's a person that will have his mind change when it needs to be changed. So I respect the shit out of that about Lewis. I'll give him a hard time every day in my life, but I do respect the shit out of him for that reason right there. We'll probably get more title matches on Raw. I just don't like it. Like, if we're getting one with Damian this week and then we get another one a few months from now, okay. But I've seen people talking about he's going to defend it every week, and I'm like, that is the dumbest idea I have ever heard. I'm sorry to call people dumb. I shouldn't do that. I know, but it is what it is.
You didn't say they were dumb. You just said that the idea that they come up with was dumb.
Yeah, but people. Yeah, my girl loves Brock. That's what she's one of the few figures she has. She got a Dexter Loomis figure. She got an AJ Styles figure, and she got a Farmer Brock figure. What a party that would be. What else happened at Double or Nothing? Oh, I do want to talk about this. Jade Cargill.
I knew that's where you're going.
I want to hear someone else's opinion on this. I'm going to give what I think about it, and then I just want to hear from someone else.
Absolutely.
I'm not mad that Chris Statlander beat Jade Cargill. I'm not. Chris Statlander is good. I know people wanted it to happen. Okay, that's fine. That's 100%. That's kind of where they were heading to begin with anyway. So it's like, okay, yeah.
We said that, we felt like Jade was suffering in her reign because they were waiting for.
And I think I even said I wouldn't be mad seeing her lose so that she could go on to bigger and better things. To Taya Valkyrie, though, because the program that Taya Valkyrie gave Jade Cargill was one of the best programs Jade has had since being champion.
It's top 3.
Yeah. The match that Jade Cargill had with Taya Valkyrie is hands down the best Jade Cargill match she's had, at least on a pay-per-view. I won't say TV because I don't think I've seen all her TV matches. But on a pay-per-view, I know for a fact that's the best match Jade Cargill's had. Taya Valkyrie gave her the best program and the best match, and she's rewarded by having someone return from injury and not only take the TBS title from Jade Cargill, but end her reign or end her undefeated streak. This right here, we were both just like, what just happened? She's like, they're not going to wrestle her. I was like, no, they're not going to wrestle. There's no way that they're going to wrestle. Because Chris Statlander will look weak if she loses. You can't do that. And then she's like, she goes, she's going to get to 100, isn't she? Nope. She didn't even get to 61. I think it's crazy to not only end this 500-day run as champion, more than 500-day runs, and kill the undefeated streak that you've been promoting on your show every time she's on the show. You kill both of those on a hot shot booking. This is hot shot booking, yes? This is the prime definition of it, right? You brought someone out there and you just shuffled some shit up just for the sake of doing it. Yeah?
Because they were there. Yeah.
I'm not crazy. We're on the same page here, yes?
Yeah. No, 100%. Look.
Okay, now hold up before I let you go. I've heard people tell me that this is where the story was going. By this, I see you have no clue what that even means. So I'm not even going to ask you the question. I was going to ask you, what could that story possibly be?
Thank you.
It did. And people hated that shit so much. Oh, thank you.
But that actually ended up being a part of a bigger story.
Yeah, it did. So if they can change my mind, I'll come back and say I was wrong. I do it all the time, people, whether you agree with me. I will say I was wrong if they prove me wrong. They've never done anything that makes me think they're going to, though. So, but Charlotte did it to Ronda, and we all complained then too.
Yep.
But once again,
so here's the thing: people didn't complain as much about the whole Charlotte thing because they were tired of Ronda with being champion. Much the same as I don't think a lot of people are complaining about this because they were like, this had to end sooner or later. My thing is this: she is undefeated. This is the biggest title run. This is the only person who's ever held this title. This is the first exchange of this title. Now, I'm not comparing these two in any way, but just the idea that we know that this is a long streak ending. What if they did that with Roman? Imagine, like Roman beats somebody and then somebody else comes out and answers a challenge, and Roman says yes afterwards, and Roman loses in 20 seconds after he's already lost the match. Imagine that's what ends the greatest world championship run of all time.
Not only does he lose, but he loses to a person that wasn't even promoted for the show.
Yeah, exactly.
That's like I told my son. He goes, Jade's not champion. I was like, no, she lost. She goes, she lost to Tay. I was like, no, she lost to Chris Statlander. He goes, what? What? So. And anybody that wants to say it's good, hey, I'm not telling people what you think is good is bad. In my opinion, I think it's silly, though. I want to make sure everyone knows that. I got to keep repeating myself on this. I'm not telling you if you think this was good, it's bad. I'm telling you I think it's just silly. If you think it's good, all the power to you, baby, because I think a lot of stuff y'all think is bad is really good. So that's the way it is. But
I think it devalues Chris Statlander. I think Chris Statlander beating Jade Cargill one-on-one in a one-on-one match makes Chris Statlander look better. Now, look, if they go back and they do a rematch and she wins, great. Like, awesome. Okay, so she got her win. But it's always going to be a little bit tainted that she didn't beat a fresh Jade Cargill one-on-one for that championship. It's going to be something that,
I'll come back to it in a second. But I swear we're going to get back to that. We're going to touch on that in just a bit. We're touching a few other things, but then that's the main thing. We're going to talk about that in just a little bit. They could have had her drop the belt in a better fashion for sure. I thought what was about to happen was Chris Statlander was going to come out. She was going to go face to face, and then we're going to get the match on Dynamite. And if Chris Statlander would have beat her on Dynamite, that would have been you could have main evented that for Dynamite. And that would have been a fantastic end to the show. Straight up. I can't put that blue. But they didn't. And it's why? I just think it's crazy. Like Randy Orton returns and beats Roman Reigns at Money in the Bank when he's not even promoted and Roman's wrestling Jimmy Uso.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it.
What? But I will say, there is a story that they could do because Jade could just disappear. She could take her vacation. And when she comes back, she could literally say what you were just saying. Say, you didn't beat me at my best. You took advantage and blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, it's like, no, you kind of just let her because you could have said no, but you didn't. You were stupid. And yeah, it was weird. That was weird. That really kind of took me out of the show for a minute because I was like, that was just weird.
I feel like this is Tony Khan's way of protecting Jade Cargill to make her look better. Like, okay, she didn't lose the championship. Even when she lost, she didn't really lose. Like, it took 2 matches to make her lose. Yeah. Like, I feel like that's what he's trying to do, but it doesn't work for a heel. You can't do that. Heels are supposed to lose. That's the point of the heel. The heel is supposed to talk this.
We want to see her lose.
Trash, and then somebody's supposed to knock them off their pedestal. If they do it in a cheap way, it cheapens the win. It devalues the win of the and
you can't protect people forever.
Exactly. And if you're gonna make them lose, especially in that position, make them lose definitively. Put somebody over. They didn't put Statlander over. They put a championship on her. And there's a big difference. The same way as when CM Punk won his first world title. They didn't put Punk over. He cashed in Money in the Bank. They put the title on him. And he didn't even defend it when he lost it. Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah. I hope they can come back. Like, man, that was a great point Lou brought up. And then you fixed it. Like, Becky and Bianca, it's the same thing. And everybody just went nuts about it. Like, they literally for weeks were talking so bad about it. But then they told a great story with it. And it makes sense. So if they can do that with this, I'll come back on this show, episode 52, whenever it happens to be, and I'll say, hey, you know what? I was wrong. They proved me wrong, and that was great. I'm glad they did it. But that's all I'm going to talk about on Double or Nothing.
So one thing about that, though, how many people will still say, yeah, the whole feud was great, and it was so good that Bianca came back. Still hate that she lost in 15 seconds, though. Like, you know what I mean? Like, people just don't know how to let go of it.
Those people I don't talk to, so...
If they prove me wrong, then okay, then the story was worth it. Who cares?
As I've said many times on this show, I have my ideas, and if you can prove me wrong, hey, I love it. I love being proven wrong. It's kind of just in my genetics or something. I love being proven wrong. So prove me wrong, Tony.
Yeah, let's go.
I know you remember I was heated about. Yeah, the way it was handled was like, what are we doing here? But again, the end game was like, yo, that was really good. That was the story to tell. I liked it. So when we get in Roman one belt, now he don't have 3, he got 1. They got rid of the other 2. He took them off and he gave them away. Then he gave them to Triple H. I'm pretty sure they did, and he just got the one.
Somebody said Heyman walked off with them. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think Roman has 3 belts. If he does, that's stupid. But we'll touch on Battleground real quick too. Just it happened. I really enjoyed the women's match. I'll say that.
Okay.
Tiffany, because after that debacle they had with that triple threat where Indy got hurt, I was like, yo, maybe Tiffany ain't it. Because they did not know how to shift gears when things went bad. But Tiffany came out, and not only did she put on a good match, there was psychology involved. There was reasoning for the things she was doing in the ring. The things she said she needed to work on, she worked on. And the match was, to me, I know everyone's talking about D-Jack and Dragunov.
Yeah.
Some people are talking about Breaker and Mello. I think a few people were even talking about the triple threat match. the women's match to me was not match of the night because it wasn't filled with just high spots and just crazy, just really trying to grab people's attention. They just told a really good story in the ring, and I don't think that happens enough on pay-per-views anymore.
I'm with you.
Yeah, here you go. She was there. I think they moved you up to front row too, didn't they, Courtney? That was cool. She was like front row at Battleground.
That's awesome. That's so cool.
Right here. And, Lou said he saw him hand him the ball.
Okay, perfect.
So, that is one belt. But while we're on the subject,
it's a pretty belt.
That belt. What you think about this belt, Albert? Because a lot of people are saying it looks horrible. It looks so bad.
Okay.
I'm bad at this. There we go.
Okay.
What do you think about this belt?
Okay, I'm gonna start this off very simply. I like it. I think it's perfect. I think it perfectly encapsulates what WWE wanted to do with that championship. We're gonna have one champion. Let's not make it, brand specific. Let's make it a World Heavyweight Championship, black and gold, with the highlights of a little bit of red in it. It's a title. It's a World Championship. It's a top prize, and it looks like it. It looks like the World Championship. Now, the asinine mental gymnastics that people go through sometimes when they hate on a belt or they hate on something is mind-boggling to me. We understand that WWE is a brand, and the best way for that brand to be seen is for that logo to be front and center. You want that logo big so that everyone can see it. And when Patrick Mahomes has that championship,
I literally was just about to bring that up. When the guys who win the Super Bowl put that belt on for the world to see, they want their logo to be. That's business 101.
Everybody says that's the WWE Championship, and if people are going to sit there and say, "No, it's not. It's the AEW Championship." No, there's a big W. You can't mistake it. It's the WWE Championship.
Yeah. I think it looks great.
I love it.
I do. It was very shiny when they took the blanket off or whatever, the sheet, whatever it is. They took it off. I was like, yo, that is shining bright like a diamond. And that's a great first impression to have, in my opinion.
That's what it should look
like. That's your top prize, and that thing was just a shining. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Yeah. The shine isn't. I think the lighting was hidden in a certain way, so that shine was extra. It still got some shine to it. I don't think they should deviate away from the belt design too much. The WWE title, that was the design. The women's titles, that's I get. Here's a question. I'm going to go away from what I was just saying.
Sure.
Has WWE in the past 15 years, maybe even longer, ever released a belt design that the people didn't hate?
One.
What was it?
They went back to the old Intercontinental title. So they had to go back into the past to make everybody happy. That's the only time nobody
Now,
complained.
With that said, how many people still complain about how ugly those titles are today?
Barely anybody.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I remember when the United States title came out, everyone ripped that thing to shreds. And I'm going to tell you right now, that might be the most pretty belt I've ever seen in person.
I thought it was really nice. Now, look, I admit, I was partial to the old U.S. title. I actually loved that title.
It was beautiful. Yeah, it was nice.
I thought it was so nice.
Homer, I'm definitely going to be partial to it. But the new one's beautiful. Like, I remember I saw it at WrestleMania 37. That's when my mind clicked. I was like, I'm an idiot. I was walking through and I saw someone carrying it. I was like, yo, that thing is beautiful. I want that belt. I was tempted to just knock that dude over the head and steal his belt. That's how beautiful that thing was. And I was like, I was wrong.
We're never on this subject because this is something I was thinking about earlier today. Your two favorite WWE World Championships, the title belts. Which ones are they for you? Because to me, there's a clear top two. And I feel like everything else is just like.
I don't think there's a clear top two.
Okay, that's fair.
Am I allowed to include Big Gold?
Absolutely, sure, absolutely.
Yeah, Big Gold is number one for me. That's my top title.
Fair enough.
And we're talking about all titles or just world titles?
I would say just world titles.
Okay. The spinner belt, honestly.
Your boy just said the same thing. That's funny. Hey, look. I mean, that's I'm all about it. Like, if I have the U.S. spinner, I wasn't a big fan of the spinner belt. I also just was a very negative fan back at that point, so I wasn't going to be happy about anything. But in my opinion, I think in terms of beauty, prestige, something that looks like a world championship, I grew up on the Winged Eagle. It's just, to me, it's the belt that Macho Man held. It holds a place in my heart. It's the belt that Bret Hart held. It's going to be my favorite. The other one to me that I think makes everything else just look like almost like a toy, because to me it looked like a top prize in a real world championship, is the Undisputed Championship. That was a gorgeous.
The red one?
No, the black strap. The Undisputed.
Oh, the one Brock Lesnar had.
The one that Brock had.
Okay.
It was a big, like, plate on the front. Like, it looked different. It looked unique. It didn't look like they were trying to do. They went away from the Winged Eagle kind of a look, because the next one after that was the big Winged Eagle after we got that one, and then Austin had his own belt or whatever. I thought that it was just different. It deviated, and it was. I think it's just a beautiful title.
I think the Winged Eagle. I know a lot of people like the Winged Eagle, and I get it. It is a nice looking belt. I don't think that's a top belt. I don't think it looks like a top belt. When you look at the things we have now and how like glamorous they are and how shiny and how they're very just like in your face, like this is a fucking champion. You look at the Winged Eagle, it's kind of like, that's cool. I don't think it screams, this is your top guy. It's not a world championship. It's a WWE championship for sure. And if that's your second tier, if that's what Seth Rollins was walking around with right now, it makes sense. To me, it doesn't scream world champion, though. It just screams WWE champion.
Gotcha.
That's my take on it.
That's fair.
I don't hate it. I just don't think it screams top title. The one Roman has right now screams top title to me.
That absolutely does.
That thing's gorgeous. That guy's probably important. If I don't know anything about wrestling and I see him on Jimmy Kimmel, I'm like, that guy's probably pretty important just by looking at the title on his way. If I saw the Winged Eagle one, I'd be like, okay. That's just me, though. I'm not saying it was bad. I'm just saying, the belt was dope. The Brock belt. That's crazy. I've never heard anybody say they like that one.
Really?
I thought it was kind of plain, but that's me. I'm a flashy kind of guy. That's just who I am. I just picked the spinner belt. That tells you everything you need to know about me. And if we're gonna say big gold, I might as well just go ahead and say it has to have NWO spray painted across it too, or else it doesn't matter to me.
Obviously, I mean, that was a foregone conclusion.
Okay, so now we'll touch on this then. This is the belt Roman has. Do you think this belt sticks? Yeah.
I think it's going to be around for a long time. I think that they're in the process of figuring everything out. I think this was these were the first two dominoes to fall here. It was, okay, let's make a new one. Let's give Roman his on his 1,000th day. And then I think the next step is to concentrate on figuring out what they're doing with the women's titles. I think this sticks. I think that this is going to be their top prize for years to come. They didn't make it brand specific for a reason. They didn't put a strap on it, from one show or the other. They made it a world title, a heavyweight championship, the top prize. I don't see it going anywhere for a while.
I love that they're going away from the brand specific titles. Now, this is a rumor. I'll just touch on it. We're talking about belts. Why not? I don't know the validity of this rumor at all, but I've heard it that they're going to take the women's titles and basically do the same title as Seth and the same title as Roman, and they're just going to put white straps on them instead of the black straps. Are you okay with that decision?
I'm down. Cool.
It puts the women on the same level as the men, which
absolutely.
I think is a very big deal.
Those belts all look like the top prizes too. Yeah. Why not? Why wouldn't you do that? I'm okay with them just keeping, just calling them, just the Women's World Championship and
WWE Women's Championship, Women's World Championship. I think that's the way to go. That's pretty,
right. So, just do it that way. And if you really do if they really want to go crazy with the Women's Championship with the branding, change the straps on them. Fine, take the plates off, put it on a red strap if they're on on Raw. I don't like it, but I mean, if that's what they're crazy about it and they want to do it, fine. If that's the case. But don't change the integrity of the belt and don't change the name of the belt.
Get rid of them brand specific nonsense things.
100%. I'm with that. I'm just saying that they seem to be obsessed with that. So if that's how they need to do it, fine. I'm okay with that. I'd just much rather they don't touch it. Keep the belts the way they are. I mean, my thought process is they do this just to sell more. That's the reason why they like the brand specific
Oh yeah,
stuff. It's like, oh,
every 5 years we get new belt designs, and it's to sell. It's to sell them 100%. Okay, we're talking about top titles here. Money in the Bank's coming up.
Yeah.
Who is your early pick for Money in the Bank?
It's so hard. Hard.
I'm saying, like, did you already have someone in mind before they started doing qualifying matches?
Cody. Has always been like,
and he's not in it now, so now you have to change your answer. Thank you.
So that to me, I was like, okay, that's the story. Cody will win it and he'll cash in at SummerSlam. There that goes. We're waiting till WrestleMania. WWE said, oh, you thought you were gonna get it, at SummerSlam? No. You're gonna get more patient. We're gonna tell more cinnamon with the bloodline. You're gonna wait till WrestleMania. Cody ain't finishing the story any damn time soon.
Yeah, the stuff with Jay, Jimmy, and Solo, they need at minimum 6 months to tell what they're doing with this. If anybody out there thinks I'm crazy for saying 6 months, you haven't been paying attention. That's all I'm gonna say, because they told that stuff with Sammy in 11, and it was beautiful.
Right. You don't know where Jay's loyalty lies right now. Solo is, jumping back and forth. Like, there's just so much, but
yeah. So I have a question. I thought Triple H said Seth's belt was exclusive to Raw. My question is, Drummond was. Yeah, I think that they would just move to SmackDown, and I think what's going to happen is Seth and Cody are probably going to tease some things going into the Rumble. Cody's going to win the Rumble, and we're going to be like, he's going to challenge Seth, because they've been teasing it. At least the people who aren't of the idea that Cody is going to beat Roman. The few people who still think that's not going to happen. And then he'll be like, you know what? No, I'm here to finish my story, and he's going to challenge Roman. And the moment he challenges Roman, I think that's going to kind of put him on SmackDown. And once he beats Roman, Roman's going to leave for a while, and Cody will just kind of fill in there for Roman. They'll have their big superstar, and yeah.
And right after the WrestleMania is when the draft, takes place anyway.
So it'll be able to fix it. But yeah, that's how I think that, like, if AJ would have won the title, he's coming to Raw 100%. He's not going to be on SmackDown with the Raw title. I know a lot of people want to believe that's what the plan was, but no, it wasn't. It wasn't at all. That shit was Solo broke my heart. That was beautiful, beautiful storytelling. That's what that was. It was so good, man. But yeah, back to Money in the Bank. You said you had Cody. You got to change your mind. I'll let you think for a second. The beginning of the year, who did I say at the beginning of the year? LA Knight. I said LA Knight in January, everybody. January 1st to be exact. I said LA Knight. Now it looks like I'm probably going to be right there. But I'm changing my pick because I want Jey Uso to win that thing. So I'll tell you what. Jey or Solo could win that thing right now. And my God, that story would be so Roman, just like, if it's Jey, he's like, so Jey, what are you doing? He's got to sit there and figure out, like, is Jey gonna fall in line like he said he would? Is he gonna be with Jimmy? Am I gonna have problems? But if Solo wins it, it's like, well, that's my guy. I'm good. I'm safe until he's not.
Solo's gonna go and cash this Money in the Bank in on Seth Rollins on Monday Night Raw.
It's the end of the show. We're gonna bring him in anyway. Tidey, what is up, brother?
What's up, man? I'm super late. Had so much crap to do.
You arrived, and that's all that matters. We're gonna extend the show just a little bit, just for you. While you're here, we're talking about Money in the Bank now. But before we do that, we're gonna get your opinion, because we gotta have Tidey's opinion. What you think about this belt right here, buddy?
I think it looks cool shit. I'm down with the belt.
Thank you very much.
It's beautiful, man. I mean, like, if you had like a bunch of Hershey Kisses that were gold, that's what I would make, a Hershey Kisses belt.
There you go. You're all wrong. Tidey just told you you're all wrong. Deal with it. Courtney, happy to see you too.
Courtney.
Yeah. She been saying LA Knight too. Yeah. Whose game is it? Yeah. Tidey made it. Yeah, Tidey made it. So we're talking about Money in the Bank, and we're picking. I remember you picked someone to win it earlier this year. I don't remember who it was. Forgive me for that. But I want to know if you changed your pick too. We're talking about the men's one right now. I had LA Knight, but I'm changing it. I want someone from the Bloodline to win it. I want them to win it so badly.
I have somebody in my mind.
Let's hear it.
And I think that you're going to agree with me, and you're going to change your pick, because I think my pick's better than yours.
No.
Dominic Mysterio.
Nope.
Imagine the nuclear heat Dom Mysterio gets if he wins Money in the Bank and has a guaranteed world title shot. Can you imagine the promos with him in the middle of the ring with Rhea? He would never be able to say a syllable with that Money in the Bank contract. That would be absolute masterful television.
So
that's
everybody here knows how much I love my old cellmate, Dominic Mysterio. I ride with that man to the end. But I also have said it is the second best act in wrestling today. And I believe you should be going all in on your top acts. And the Bloodline just proved once again, it is still the top act. Yeah. And if you can find ways to make it even better, you got to do it. So unfortunately, because the Bloodline is a thing right now, I can't agree with Dominic Mysterio. If Dom wins it, am I going to be mad? Hell to the no. I'm going to get up and dance. I'll probably go buy a briefcase and carry it around with me with my purple handkerchief and everything to really represent my homeboy Dom. I just don't think it should be Dom. I think it has to be Jay or Solo. Or if it's not going to be I would pick Dom over LA Knight. I'll say that. Even though he was my pick, I would take Dom over LA Knight, but not over Jay or Solo. Main event Jay Uso right there. That man knows what's up. That man knows what's up. That show would be awesome. It would. I'm not saying your idea is bad, Albert. The Bloodline is too good. Too good.
I'm with you. I am with you. I'm just saying I wouldn't mind it.
No, it's a good one. I wouldn't mind because I know people would hate it. And you know how much I love when people hate stuff. That makes me like it even more.
Oh, same. Oh, absolutely same.
Tidey, what about you? You've had some time. Who you got?
Yeah, I'm going Jey Uso.
Yeah, my man. Main event. Jey Uso.
Because Jey Uso, I watched Sam Roberts' podcast because Sam Roberts shit. And
not Sam. Number one in the world. I'm number 2 right behind him.
Yep, number 2. But with that, how he explained the Bloodline and what Jay's going through, that he's like this PTSD. He joins, something goes wrong. He does this, something goes wrong. He thinks he's doing right by the family. He's wrong. He thought he back up Sammy. He's wrong. Sammy turned on him. And thought he'd go to Backlash and WrestleMania. No, failed. Thought he'd get a shot. No, Saudi. Thought he'd help at Saudi. No, wrong. Thought he'd back up Jay or Jimmy. And now he's conflicted. It's his brother. So it is the perfect story if you throw Jay in there and really make him. I mean, because like if you look at what Jimmy did, Jay was still like the star of the show. He was the one. He's still conflicted or whatever. So to see Jay last minute decide I'm going to enter it, or he gets thrown in it.
Yeah,
I don't know what happens, but man,
well,
if they can do that,
can I finish that right now?
We're going to jump for joy as wrestling fans. There's no better story than that, because it's no better story. And I'm a Jey Uso fan.
Just real quick, to touch on what he was saying. What you're saying is absolutely brilliant. Like, if it's you or Sam, whoever said it's brilliant with the idea with Jey Uso constantly feeling like he's screwed up. This right here would play into it to perfection, because Roman Reigns, who is a master manipulator, could then say, Jay, you did this, you did that. Now's your chance to make things right. They could look at this as a way to get rid of the Usos and send them to Raw. And be like, you go take that to Raw. You could go beat Seth Rollins. You could be a champion. And then you could be right on my level. And Jey Uso could be like, you know what? Yeah. But then at the last second, be like, no, the right thing to do is put you in your place, Roman. And he challenges Roman for that title. That's fucking beautiful.
What if? Hold on, wait. What if?
Let me get this quote in.
What if Roman's the guy who's the mastermind behind having Jimmy versus Jay on SmackDown? The winner is in Money in the Bank, and he pulls Jay aside, and he's like, "Look, we're gonna put this to rest right now. Jimmy's gonna lose. You're gonna, do what you do. Be main event Jey Uso right by my side, like you said. Win the title from Seth.
Solo help him.
But no, not even that. The match starts. Jimmy walks out, gets counted out. Says, "No, you're the one who's supposed to be the one who ends it all. You're the one who has the briefcase. Now go cash in on Roman." And it puts a devil, the angel on now he has it on each shoulder. It's like Well, if
That's
I
not
do this,
terrible. That's not
Roman's
terrible.
going to be happy with me because then I'll go cash in on Seth. But I can't betray my brother. How do I betray my brother and not finish the story that he started with Roman choking my brother out to make me agree to be in here? Like, I mean, imagine the tug of war that he has to have by having that briefcase. Again, we're
There's
talking
so many
about
ways to do that. There's so many ways to do that.
and that's what we're saying. You talked earlier, Tidey, before you got on, right before you got on, Jimmy brought up a great point of we need more time to tell the end of the story. What we just said right there, that's another 3, 4, or 5 months of storytelling. Easy, without having to even lift a finger. It's there.
What did I say? I said they need at least 6 months to tell this story.
Yeah.
What were you trying to say, Tidey?
So the quote, not Sam again, and I took a little bit and made it my own, but
hey, that's good, baby. Do what you gotta do.
What Roman has been doing is like a pure up narcissist, and he's like, there's nothing wrong with somebody who's like, hey man, I'm here to help you, and this and this and that, but there's something wrong with someone who's like, hey, I'm here to help you, but they always want another cut of meat after they help you. Like, hey, but who got you here? You wouldn't be here if it wasn't for me.
Yeah.
The tribal chief. You wouldn't do any of these things. You wouldn't be main event Jey Uso. So no matter what Jey does, it's always going to be reflected back, well, I want more. And Roman's going to keep wanting more from him. It's the perfect story. There's no other story that if you go Judgment Day, any member from the Judgment Day, I'll be happy, honestly.
Yeah.
You go LA Knight, I'm happy. Everybody knows he's over.
Yeah.
Everybody knows he's over. But if they really punch this ticket right, it's main event Jey Uso, the guy who's going through all this shit that Roman's putting him through. I mean, Jimmy tried to say it flat out. I was okay with Jimmy's promo. I was okay with how the story played out on SmackDown. But Jey is still that one guy who is dealing with PTSD. Nothing he does can be right. And I think it's going to come down to Roman. No matter what happens, Roman's still going to be yapping in his ear like, it's not good enough. You owe me something. You always owe me something because it's all about me. I thought I was helping. No, it's not about him helping him. It's about him getting something out of Jey. It makes Roman look good. So if he wins the Money in the Bank, just that story alone for the next month or two, it's going to put prime time spotlight television time for us to be engaged in. And Triple H is smart. He wants us to be engaged. And you say, oh, it's predictable. Yeah, I know. But what is more entertaining? That's my thing. It's more entertaining.
So maybe you just changed her mind because she had LA Knight, but she's saying she wants Jey Uso now.
More entertaining. We'll be happier as fans.
I'll say this.
And so
think of the visual. Think of the visual of Solo Sikoa as your Money in the Bank winner, and he's always at ringside with Roman during his matches. So Solo's just down there at ringside holding on to that briefcase while Roman's wrestling. You know the mind games that's playing on Roman Reigns. And who better to sell that right now than the best storyteller in the freaking business, Roman Reigns?
Or imagine that Paul Heyman is the one who holds down to that briefcase, and imagine the pop that it gets when Roman's down. Heyman hands that briefcase to Solo to cash in, to turn on Roman. Like, how many different ways this story can end up going at one point is crazy. Like, there's just so many different things you can do to extend it. I mean, then if Solo wins the title from Roman, he's the new head of the table. It rewrites the entire story to now the Usos have to deal with their brother being that guy. And what do they do with that? Do they reform the family? Like, this story can be told for like years to come. If
they said it's a never-ending story. So
Jimmy and Jey to tag teams alone, they were just proven like a week or two ago that they are the ones, and they're trying to make sure that they're the ones. So with Sammy and KO, with any other tag team versus them splitting up versus them siding with their brother, Solo, etc., there's so much meat on it that I'm kind of baffled. Honestly, this is ridiculous. So yeah, Jey or Solo is the answer, but I'm saying Jey, the main event actor. He is the dude.
Okay, before we move over to the women's, who's Roman Reigns wrestling at SummerSlam? Real quick.
Oh, shit, I don't know.
just spit out a name. Wherever you see the story progressing, what do you think?
I would like to see Bobby or LA. Bobby or LA, Bray later on. But yeah, Bobby or LA.
Okay, who you got? Who's Roman wrestling at SummerSlam?
Where's Bobby Lashley been? Do we know?
he's coming back to whoop some tribal ass.
They're probably just waiting to just debut him on SmackDown as like a big deal. I don't know, because he wrestled the match, and that's the last we saw him.
Right. I was just curious. I mean, where story's going right now, to me, it looks like they're going towards the Usos versus Roman and Solo.
You don't think they're doing that Money in the Bank? Oh no, because I don't see. This is the problem. I don't know. Oh, I don't know. I think Jimmy Uso is the guy to go with it at SummerSlam. I know that sounds crazy because Jimmy Uso has been like the least.
No, it's right. It's right.
I don't want to say the least important part of the story, but based on what we've been watching, he's been the one that's kind of been in the background the most, not getting the most attention. And now with two kicks one afternoon, that man just catapulted himself at the top of the list. It's like, God, that's why I love this storyline so much.
And that just the emotion Night of Champions with that, just seeing them come down, just seeing Roman pie face Jimmy again after he did it on SmackDown the week before, and seeing Jimmy just not being able to take
this for you.
I'm doing this for you. I'm doing what you should have done years ago. Man, just everything about it. It hits you every time. Like, I was sitting there, like, literally holding up my hands on my head going, oh my God. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I knew it was going to happen. I saw it already. But even watching it again, I was like, this is, oh my God. I love this. I love the emotion that I'm getting from watching wrestling again. It's making me a bigger fan again.
When he said, I got you, and kicked him again, that was it. Me and my roommate were just saying that repeatedly. It's like, no,
I jumped off the couch.
I got you. Like, oh my God, I got your back. Like, this is something you can't do, but it's fucking time. Sorry.
Yeah, no, you get because when it happened, I jumped off the couch and I jumped towards the TV. I was like, yes, that's what I'm talking about. I was in it. I loved it. Let's switch gears though. Money in the Bank. Talk about the men, women. I originally had picked Charlotte because I wanted Charlotte to cash in on the United States champion and take the United States championship as a women's mid-card title, but that's clearly not going to happen anymore, and probably was never in the. That was one of my stupid things. I thought it would have been a cool idea, but it clearly isn't going to happen. So with that, women Money in the Bank, who do we see winning it?
So I'm going to throw out a wild card. I think that the one thing that we don't have right now is a dominant heel in the singles women's division right now.
Ripley.
Aside, Ripley. I was going to say aside from our champions, and I think that we
I'm about to say mute this man.
Because outside of Rhea and Asuka, and Asuka's more of a tweener, and to a point, Rhea's getting more cheers than because of how good she is than she should be.
She's still a heel.
She's such a great heel.
Yeah.
And it's a testament to how good she is that she's
Great
getting.
heels get loved.
Yeah, absolutely, that's the thing. It's a testament to how good of a heel she is that she's getting cheered. My out there opinion is that I think that Triple H has always been high on Piper Niven, and I think this is the chance to elevate her. If they give her the Money in the Bank, she bulldozes through a bunch of women. They make her look credible. I think Piper Niven's a great choice. That's my out-of-the-box, way out of the way prediction, but that's where I'm going.
All right, Tidey, what about you? What you got?
I want a hero. I want a baby face. I want a Candice LeRae. That's what I want.
Okay.
I want something different because that'll put a spotlight on The Way. Because it's the way, whether we like it or not, it's the way. That'll put a spotlight on them to get, just like Rhea gave a spotlight to Judgment Day. Just like Dom, when he got big, gives a spotlight. Now Damian and Finn are bigger than ever. Yeah, I know. That's what I want too. You know what? We all can't be happy, Courtney. You know what? I want somebody different. I want a true baby face. And if you saw that video package of Candice LeRae, it wasn't good. Like,
it was fun.
And that made me feel good. I got butterflies and pixies in my stomach now.
It was a very bubbly video. I liked it. I thought it was very fitting for her character.
She's got the credibility for, ladder matches. She's got all that, dude. She can go. So I'm going to pick something different. And I'm going Candice because I've been waiting for The Way. And if you get a Money in the Bank, that's a spotlight on television. Your whole group shines. I'm going Candice.
Okay. I'm gonna take Zoe Stark.
Shit, I forgot about Zoe.
Very good choice.
Once Trish is gone, Zoe's gonna need something to because as much as I like Zoe Stark in the ring, she doesn't have it character-wise yet, in my opinion.
Not yet. At least,
I think something like a briefcase is a very nice crutch for her to stand on. And
will
once
with
Trish is gone, it'll allow her to lean on that, and it makes her interested. And that's what they need to do. They need to make Zoe Stark interested. And they clearly have a lot of faith in her because they put her in a great position right here. So why not just go all in on her? I think
I'm done. I'm done with you, Jimmy, and your perfect little announcements.
I'm just saying. If it's not Zoe Stark, though, Chelsea Green, because that's too good a television to miss out on.
No, it's Zoe Stark. He called
That
it.
would be
It's over.
Imagine Chelsea Green being like, I want to cash in. And then she doesn't. And they're like, why are you so scared? She goes, well, Adam Pearce. She could just literally utilize the manager shit for all. It would be entertaining.
That would be so great.
I'm such a fan of Zoe Stark.
Yeah, I know you are. I knew you'd like my pick.
Years, and then like she was like the Seth Rollins of NXT. They would put her up in matches to get people over or to dominate them. And then she came back, she dominated, and like I know why they have faith in her, and I know why they put her with Trish and Becky in the main storyline.
Yeah, she's good
because
it's
the perfect thing. If you give her a Money in the Bank briefcase. Dear God, you're right, Jimmy. It's over. If Zoe's winning, I'm gonna bet $1,000 to Jimmy Bebe.
The only problem with it is that there's no babyface champion unless Rhea is supposed to be going that way.
So
I know it's Raquel Rodriguez.
So that's actually I was going to say your boy brings up a great point. That's who I think it is going to end up being. I think that they've been pushing Raquel to be like this main star for a long time. 2 heel champions. And it does give us the dream match that people haven't seen yet if they don't watch NXT of Rhea versus Raquel.
Yeah, that was a really good match. That they did have a good blow-off match.
They brought it.
There's a lot of women I could see winning it.
Shayna Baszler. I'd be happy with that. I'd be happy with Io. I'd be happy with a lot of people.
I think it has to be someone on Raw though. Because
Raw it needs to be because they need someone to challenge Rhea. They need somebody and to make that interesting. Because right now, if you looked at it and you're like, hey man, I was gonna step to Rhea, you'd have to pull a lot of big strings. But if someone wins from Raw,
Becky Lynch is the only person on that roster right now that is a legitimate threat to Rhea Ripley. So you have to give somebody a handicap. And Zoe Stark's a perfect candidate. To me, Zoe Stark's a perfect candidate for that. That's why I picked her. Chelsea Green, I don't think would ever be able to win with it. I think it would just be very entertaining, kind of like with Dom. It's just entertaining.
Yeah.
What up, Cameron? No worries, man. Doesn't matter if you're late. You here? That's all that matters. I'm not picky. I'll give Tidey a chance here. We talked about Battleground for a minute. I know that's your shindig. Of the 3 shows, how many did you watch last weekend?
Wait, hold up. What did you say?
Night Champions, Battleground, and Double or Nothing. Of those 3, which ones did you watch?
I watched them all except for Double or Nothing.
Okay. Which one did you like the most?
Man, I'm gonna have to go Battleground.
Okay. That's fine. That's good to know because now you can tell us why you liked it so much. I said the women's match was the best match of the night, just because it was a traditional wrestling match with a great story that was told. But the floor is yours, sir. What made Battleground so good to you, and what was the best match to you?
Oh man, it's all together, man.
I gotta put you on the spot, man. I have to.
Yeah, dude. But you know what? I had some drinks and then I got off and I'm tired. So I like that Braun Breaker is actually making the heel turn work. I like that Carmelo's there. I like that Baron Corbin shows up.
Oh
yeah.
I mean, I like because it's what NXT has done with Baron Corbin. Mustafa Ali can show up. I mean, what they're doing all together is almost twice. I wouldn't say twice. That's too much. It's 1.5 times overtime better than what WWE can do with the story. They've taken. Everybody was saying, well, I know old friend Dave was saying the best thing to do is put it on Valkyrie, but I was like, nah, you put it on Tiffany. Gallus is still amazing, and like they have like. If Sami Zayn and KO were buff, you got Gallus. They're just hard to beat. Creed Brothers lost, and they should have lost. They don't have as much charisma. They show it on the mic, but Gallus they got the charisma. I mean, and yeah, the women's match, she should have won. But it's more of a collective how it played out at the end. It made me very happy. And I'm gonna be, because I wanted AJ to win. I still wanted Seth to win. We all know he was gonna win. Just something about that match, it drug the whole show down for me for an extent.
Which match?
AJ versus Seth.
Really?
Yeah, it was a good match. The thing was, it's like I knew Seth.
You knew who was going to win. Okay.
I knew, but then there was a point where I thought AJ could win, and they could do that. But there's no way. I mean, it's just something about that. Maybe because that was in my subconscious, it drug the show down. Yeah. Every other match besides that was freaking amazing.
Okay.
It was just that kind of, and it was supposed to be the opening act. I get it. Get that out the way. We watch AJ lose, whatever. But I felt like everything from NXT was perfect with the show that's going on now. So I love Battleground.
So to make it easier for you, I'll just ask you two.
Oh, and Dijak? Oh my God, what a man.
I'll ask you two questions to make it simple for you. One, do you think AJ and Seth going on first was the right call now that it's happened?
No, it's still the right call. You got to get that garbage out the way. We all, not that it's garbage. We all knew it was going to win. You know, even if there was a small chance, and they did a good job at that. I just didn't feel like, dude, I'm used to AJ barn burning, and I thought he burned the barn somewhat. Yeah. Maybe it's because I knew Seth would win.
It was a slow-paced match, I think. I think a lot of that had to do with probably jet lag, too. Those guys probably weren't feeling too well. So they did a little bit of a slow, methodical one.
It's still the right call. You had to get that out, so everything else was perfect.
Yeah, she wanted AJ to win, and I know old AJ here wanted AJ to win. But yeah, she knew it was a Seth as it was announced. My next question is, should Baron Corbin beat Carmelo Hayes for the NXT title?
Yeah.
Thank you.
And the reason why is, and the great reason why is because of everything that Baron just went through, as you want to call it a heel, because now Carmelo's obviously a babyface. If you want to call Baron Corbin's story like this messed up heel that had it bad, got back good, got with JBL, got bad again, and he shows up the lone wolf and lands that move, and he does it after he beat. I mean, like, there's nothing more perfect that can catapult and revitalize it all. Carmelo needs to go up anyway sooner or later. He can have a beef with Corbin. Corbin, you make him credible and dangerous. And there's no one more
big
credible.
Fish and small pound.
Like there's no one more credible. The last people that were like credibly dangerous and dominant would be like Veer and Singha with Jinder Mahal. You're like, oh, you don't want to fight those dudes. They're going to kill you. Their size alone. If they do Corbin like that, and then he comes back to WWE at the end of the year, you now have the only big athletic super badass, and you make him different. I know Triple H wants to do that. It's not my fault. Vince made him this. Triple H can completely change and have a real heel, a big heel.
They sent him down to NXT. It's how he gets his confidence back. What better way to get his confidence back than to go down there and get the championship right out the gate? It also kind of helps Carmelo because he didn't have to lose to anybody in NXT, because I don't think there's anybody in NXT right now that can beat him or should beat him.
No.
And Carmelo can go up, and then Baron Corbin can literally just show, like, I'm kind of still a badass. I needed my confidence back. And then when he debuts again on the main roster, hey, Baron Corbin's back, baby. Yeah.
They'll make us love and hate him even more, no matter what it is. Whether it's middle hate, love, middle love, doesn't matter. When he comes back, I think he will get the support that he needs, whether it's being an asshole or being just a freaking awesome guy that we love.
Yeah. All right. So with that, anything else y'all want to touch on before we head out?
Nah.
Hey, CM Punk's coming back, Tidey. June 17th, baby.
That is badass, and
that's why the crown has been put to the side for the night. Woo!
So I got one question to ask. I got to ask Tidey something. Should I really go out of my way? Because I've been saying, a lot of people have been saying, I'm really backed up on NXT. Should I really go out of my way to watch that Ilya Dragunov and Dijak match? Is that really?
You stop right now. Okay, look. The fact that you asked, dude, it is. You haven't seen the match.
I haven't. I've been backed up on NXT for a while, and I want to like kind of like catch up the right way, and so I've been.
I'll give you an example. I'll give you something to compare it to. Sorry to butt in here. I'll give you something to compare it to, and I know it's going to sound absolutely batshit crazy when I say it, but I'm comparing it for a reason. Stone Cold and Bret Hart. not for the masterpiece or the big names or anything like that, but just for the fact that you could tell these two legitimately wanted to injure each other, and the violence was beautiful. It wasn't like it was over the top violence. It was like, man, he's trying to hurt him for real. Like, that's how it came across.
Like, you know what? I'm gonna watch it tomorrow. Screw it. I'm just gonna watch it tomorrow.
I wanted to say something as cheesy as saying match of the year contender. Ilya Dragunov has had about 2 matches that pushed him to the brink where you were not really uncomfortable, but you kind of just want to cry for him. I mean, like, you're like, I'll stop. Like, okay, what are you doing as a fan? You're like, why would you take these spots? Why would you do this? But there's only been twice. It was his first match with Walter back then, Gunther.
Oh, that.
And then it was the one where it was in the no crowd with JD McDonough. My God, did JD tear his ass 3 assholes? Yeah. Like, dude, it's like this can rival any one of those matches.
Yeah, and
that's hard to say. I didn't care for him beating Gunther the way he did in NXT. It was still good, but man, this is his 3rd trifecta. I'm talking about perfect match.
Just violence personified. That's what
and it rivals it. It could be his top match of all time. It'll be Dijak's greatest match of all time. I mean, Dijak can do. Of course, you've seen Keith Lee, but man, if you see how big that dude is, and he's proven himself, it's like kind of like what was it? Was it Rocky when he fought the giant Russian Drago? That's what Dijak looks like. It's freaking nuts, dude.
He kind of
does. Okay, Courtney, who you talking about? Refresh my memory here. Let me know who it is before we ride out. What else?
So Courtney says I need to watch it too. So I guess it's everybody's telling me. So I'm gonna have to.
It didn't speak to me like the other match did. I'm just to be honest, but it was a violent match. Baron Corbin, who's he in a qualifying match against? Is it against Cameron Grimes?
Interesting.
I didn't know this, so let me know. I do want to ask you a question, Ty, before we go. It's about, Jade Cargill.
Yes.
Yeah. You didn't watch Double or Nothing, so I'll just lay it out for you. She was wrestling Taya Valkyrie, and they had the great program. Taya Valkyrie and Jade had a great match. Jade beats her. Okay? While she's standing in the ring talking about no one can beat me, out comes Chris Statlander, who you don't know who that is because she's been injured for a good year. She returned after that match, challenged Jade Cargill. Jade Cargill said yes. They wrestled, and Statlander beat her for the title, ending her undefeated streak. What does that make you think?
So, as the Not Sam fan that I am, he said he was a huge Statlander fan and that he was so happy it went that way. So, I guess there may be a majority or minority of Statlander fans that thought that, like, hey, this means she gets a big push and Jade can go on to do something else. But to come back, and I don't know who she is, and in her streak, man.
She was at 60-0, which they promoted heavily all the time, and she was champion for over 500 days. And that's how both of those things were ended.
I'm going to give small credit because Not Sam sees something in this Statlander or whatever.
Oh, I'm not mad at Statlander. I got to keep reminding people like
not her fault.
It's not Statlander. I think is crazy. I think Statlander is a perfect opponent to have beaten Jade. I just think doing it in the way they did it was kind of wild. I was just kind of wanting to know your thought on.
Oh no, that's wild as shit. If Roman Reigns had a match right now, and then let's just say he beats the greatest person they can come up with, Jey Uso, and it's built.
He beats Cody Rhodes again.
And let's say they go to WrestleMania and it's a big deal, and he beats Jey Uso, and they made him this guy to beat and fight, or beats Cody, whatever. And then all of a sudden, someone talks him into having a match.
Bray Wyatt returns after being gone for
right after that. And then The Rock shows up like, yeah, I want to get some of this. And The Rock just bottoms his ass and wins. And that's how you end the streak. Nah, man.
Thank you. I just want to make sure I wasn't crazy because I thought it was absolutely nuts.
Hey, Tidey, can I just bring up something really, really ironic and funny?
It's funny.
Right.
I said the exact same thing when we were talking about it earlier. Almost word for word, man.
For anybody that showed up late and missed that, you just got it anyway. You didn't miss that part.
Absolutely. I said the exact thing. Imagine that. How crazy that was. Remember, there's a precedent set. This happened before, and it's the worst WrestleMania ending in the history of WrestleMania. It's WrestleMania 9.
WrestleMania 9 was horrible.
Absolutely. Bret Hart loses the championship to the unbeatable, undefeated Yokozuna, who loses in 9 seconds to Hogan. Like, I mean, it's the worst WrestleMania ending of all time, and they repeated it with Jade Cargill. Yeah. And they were expecting people to eat it up like it was great.
But again, we did march around because this is very similar to what happened with Becky and Bianca, and then they ended up changing our minds with Becky and Bianca. So if they can change our minds, I'll say I was wrong. But it just seems very wild. To
you watched it, then what do you think when you saw the TV going around? What was the fans' reactions? Were they?
I don't remember
happy?
Because it immediately deflated me. But I was like, that is the weirdest decision I've ever seen. It deflated me.
I mean, if they're going for the cheap fan pop that someone came back and now won, but man,
I'm pretty sure they popped hard for it because they like Chris Statlander. A lot of people like Chris Statlander. It was just weird. It kind of. Hogan, I don't know. A lot of people hated. A lot of people hated a lot of Double or Nothing, and I didn't hate it as much as everyone else. I just felt it was kind of weird. This was the weirdest part about it to me, and it deflated me, and it kind of just took me out of the moment. I was like, "What are we doing?" Like that was weird. And there was no like Jade's hurt, so they had like it was just weird. Like, but they did it, and we'll see what happens. Hopefully, they can change my mind. It happens all the time, but
crazy.
Baron is wrestling. If this is true, that's funny because they're both on NXT.
Yeah.
Well, I do like that. They go where they want. They're free agents.
I do like this free agent thing now that I'm seeing it work a little bit more. They can live this where they want. That is cool. That is cool. As long as the people who are drafted stop jumping from show to show. We've only seen it once. I know people were trying to blow it out of proportions. It's only happened once so far, but let's keep it there. Like no more. Keep it away. Yeah. Keep it away. Keep it away. But that's the show. I'll say one more time. CM Punk will be returning June 17th, baby. Woo! But besides that, I had to get it in more time. He loves CM Punk so much. Lewis loves CM Punk. With that said, tomorrow night I'll be back for the Raw recap, so you don't want to miss that. There is no Dynamite recaps anymore for me for the time being. Sorry, some things happen. I can't do it. I'm just not going to force it. That's not who I am. I'm going to give people good quality content, not sappy, sad content. So when I feel good about doing Dynamite again, I will bring it back. But no, it's not happening right now, and has nothing to do with AEW. I'm not shitting on AEW. Just me personally, I'm just not doing it. But Raw recap will be here tomorrow. I will also be back. Ooh, I'm trying to think. I think we have a Meet the Wrestle Buddies over at Wrestle Buddy this Friday. So you want to tune in if you want to get to know some of the new members there. We'll be back next week. I'm going to be dead tired. I'm going to get you a heads up now. I'm going to 2 conventions this weekend, and I'm traveling and doing a lot of work. But I will be racing back to make sure we get the show. So don't miss the show next week. And, yeah, that's that. So check out all that stuff off. And, Albert, if you have anything you want to plug, now is your time.
You know, the same thing, Slam Sessions Network on YouTube. I mean, everybody, thanks for being here, and have a great night.
And Tidey, if you got anything you want to get out there right now, go ahead and let people know.
It's Pride Month, so
thank you very much. Thank you.
Props to Giselle Shaw, beautiful human being. Sonya Deville, beautiful human being. Support your local drag. We're going to a drag show next Saturday. We do it like every second Saturday at Pro Hour in Pacific Grove, California. Man, and if y'all haven't seen Drag Me to Dinner, God, it's such a funny ass show. Neil Patrick Harris is a fool. He is a fool, man.
Love
Bianca
that, man.
Del Rio. It's Pride Month. Love is love. There's nothing better than seeing a human being being treated correctly, whether that's in a family, whether that's in the public, whether that's personally. Every time you say, "Oh man, that was really nice how that person treated them," you barely get to hear that. What you morally hear about is like, man, that's messed up. Did you see that racist ass, crazy ass, sexist ass, homophobic ass shit? We hear more of that, but it'd just be nice that people can, spread that around. So anyways, drag, support your local drag.
Thank you for bringing that up. I wanted to bring up the beginning of the show and it just slipped my mind. I apologize, but we are very pro pride up in here. And if you ain't, skedaddle, get out of here, go kiss a rock or suck on a rock or whatever I said earlier, because I don't want you in my business.
That's a new insult for the show. I like it.
I have another one, but it's not PG. It's sip, and then you can finish the rest. But anyways, thank you guys for joining me, and Albert and Tidey for joining us. Anybody that showed up late, it doesn't matter. I don't care. I really don't care. The support is appreciated. Much love to everybody. If you're here for 5 minutes, you're here for the whole show. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. And with that, I will see you all tomorrow night, I'm sure. If not, what's wrong with y'all? Get on the Raw recap. And one last thing is, please, everybody, don't forget. It is so very, very, very important. Do not forget to just enjoy wrestling.